Conditional tags are some of the most helpful tags in WordPress to allow you to customize exactly what you want to display in a specific context. Now, we actually looked at conditional tags very early on in this course, so some of these may look familiar to you. We've even used some of them throughout this course. So checking to see if you're on a home page or the front page, if you're on a specific singular page or single blog post. Get post type isn't really a conditional, but it's often used to check to see if you're using a certain post type, if there's an excerpt, etc., etc. All of these should make a lot of sense to you and be something that you should feel fairly comfortable using. If we come over to the theme handbook for WordPress, there is also a more extensive list of conditionals for all of these different things you could find down here in the navigation. Now, some of these are a repeat from the last slide, and some of them are things that we aren't mentioning specifically. But either way, I would highly recommend you simply scroll through this page and see what's possible with conditional tags. You should also be comfortable writing out conditional statements at this point, but if you're not, there are plenty of examples to show you how some of these can be implemented. Now, with all of that said, it's important to go through all of these, but I want to draw attention to one specific one in particular. And that is the conditional check current users can. What this does is check to see if the specific logged in user has a given capability in WordPress. Now, capabilities are subsets of roles, so an admin can have many capabilities, an editor can have many capabilities, and they are all specifically mentioned in WordPress, and we could check against them. So if we come over to this very helpful capabilities versus roles chart, we could see we have super admins, which is the first admin account you create, and then administrators are the rest of the admins, editors, authors, contributors, and subscribers. Now these are the roles in WordPress, and these are the capabilities they have. And you could see they're all single lowercase with underscores underneath them, and this is so they could be passed as parameters, etc. Now, super admins, if you're running a network site, you could do certain things there, or as it's commonly referred to as a multi-site. When we get into the single site, the ability to create users, to edit themes, then we get down further into more capabilities, the ability to switch themes. Then we get down into editors, and we could see that editing pages, for instance, is something that the editor shares, etc., etc. So this is a very helpful chart to familiarize yourself with, and as you get more comfortable with WordPress and start doing more custom things, you'll notice more uses to check to see if the login user has a specific ability. So what we saw in one of the past lessons here briefly was we wanted to check if someone had the ability to edit users, and if they did, we could display the edit user link. Now, we can't exactly say in WordPress, are they an administrator in this exact way, but this is something very specific, and the other thing to keep in mind is that these capabilities can be customized by plugins. So you may decide that you want your editor to have certain abilities that are only granted to admin people, and so you can't always assume that the role will match up with the capability, but you can check the capability specifically and assume from there that whoever has that capability should be allowed to do whatever it is that you're trying to set up a conditional statement against. So with all of that said, what I want to emphasize at this point is that you really need to familiarize yourself with the available conditional tags in case you need them later. So we're not going to go through a practice exercise at this point where you write out a bunch of conditional tags, because really these are small use case things that kind of depend on your project in how you're going to use them. Now that said, as you familiarize yourself with them, there are bound to be some that pique your curiosity and you want to test how they work. Maybe current user can is one of them. So I do think it would be a good idea to set up a practice file and play around with some of these, since conditional tags are going to be super helpful in a pinch. Now, the last thing I'll mention here is that conditional tags are great. However, if you notice that you begin to have too many of them, or you have a bunch of nested conditional tags, or several of them on a page, you may be doing it wrong. And instead, you might want to think about by using template includes or by using different templates themselves, can I approach this a little bit differently? Now, maybe you can't at this point. Maybe you need to get into actions and filters to make it even easier. However, you do want to be considerate that too many conditional tags on a page can slow a page down. So while they are helpful in a pinch and for doing creative things, you don't want to just throw a ton of conditional tags at a problem, and maybe it's a good idea to step back and see if there's another solution. So that said, go have fun playing around with conditional tags.